Hello parents, this is a video for topic 3 and I'm going to run through just a few things that are covered in the unit. You can always find worksheets and homework loaded in the Google Classroom. You can also find all the notes that we've taken in class in the composition notebook. And there's always details for each and every example. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at that we started out the unit with is something that looks like this, 4 to the third. This is called a power. So this whole thing is a power. Hold on, This piece here is known as the exponent. And this part is known as the base. Now what this means is, this means that there are 3 factors of 4, which is 4 times 4 times 4. So there are 3 factors of 4. When you evaluate this, evaluate means to solve. You do 4 times 4, which is 16, and then 16 times 4, okay, we would just work that out, is 64. So the value of 4 cubed is 64. The exponent is the little number, the base is what is being repeated, and you can look at it as repeated multiplication. And so you would write that 4 3 times, and then you could solve it or evaluate. This whole item is called the power. All right, so one special one is anything to the 0. So if we have 3 to the 0, this equals 1. If you have 4 to the 0, this equals 1. If you have 98 to the 0, this equals 1. Okay? So that is one special occasion. All of these have an exponent of 0. And it just means that you're not going to be writing factors of 3 because there are 0 factors of 3. We did a discovery at the beginning of the unit when we were folding paper that explains this, and your students should have that in their composition book. Alrighty, the next thing that we covered in this topic was taking a number that is not prime. So 90 is not prime because we know 1 times 90, but we also know 2 times 45, 3 times 30, 9 times 10, etc. So what we do is we take these numbers and we break them down using a factor tree. Our factor tree, we could say 9 times 10 is 90. Now there are many other choices, so you could have done 2 and 45. You could have done 3 and 30. And there's others, but these are just the 3 that I can fit right here on my paper. So what you do is whichever one you want to start with, let's say we started with this one. 2 is a prime number, so I'm going to circle that. That is called the leaf. Then we're going to break 45 down to 5 times 9. 5 is a prime number, so we're going to circle that. And then we're going to break 9 down to 3 times 3, and those are the prime numbers. Now, the prime factorization of 90 is then written 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. We could also write this as 2 times 3 squared, because there's 2 factors of 3, times 5. Now, if we try some of these others, you're going to find out they will actually give you the same answer, the same prime factorization. It does not matter how you break it up. Okay? You can see when I broke up 90 this way, I got to my prime factorization a lot quicker. So there's my 2 times 3 squared times 5. Same answer though. And we could do it over here also. 30, how about 3 and 10? And then 2 and 5. Again, the same exact answer. Now, it is important that when they are told to find the prime factorization, they want to make the trees. This includes when you are working with greatest common factor and also the least common multiple. The answer for prime factorization, when they're asked to give that, is one of these two. They do have to summarize what was in the tree. All right, so let's go ahead and use 90. And we will use 45. So I'm going to write, and I want to find the greatest common factor. So I'm going to break the 45 down into 5 and 9, and then 3 and 3. So my prime factorization is 3 times 3 times 5. Now, when I am finding my greatest common factor, what I am looking for, and this should be highlighted in your student's notebook, because that's what I asked them to do, is common. What is common between these two? Well, they agree on a 3, and a 5. So our greatest common factor is a 3 times a 3 times a 5. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 5 is 45. So our greatest common factor of 45 and 90 is 45. A word problem that might go along with this is I bought 45 cans of green beans and 90 boxes of macaroni. How many bags can I make with the equal number of green beans and macaroni in the bag? So this would tell me that I can make 45 bags. Because then I have 45 bags, which would each have 1 can of green beans, and it would have 2 boxes of macaroni in it. That would be a word problem that would work with this scenario. All right, the next thing we would need to do, and I'm just going to use the same numbers again, is you could be asked to find the least common multiple. When you're asked to find the least common multiple, again, you are going to make your factor trees and find your prime factorization. As I've been talking about in class, I had them highlight again that every member needs to come to the party. So what that means is here is a 2, here is a 3, and here is a 5. So for my least common multiple, everybody is going to come to the party. So that's the first thing you do, is you just list who is coming. Now, how many are coming? We want to take the greatest number of them. So the greatest number of 2s is just this one here. The greatest number of 3s, well, there's 2 of them here, and there's 2 here, so 2 would be my greatest number. And the greatest number of my 5s is, well, there's 1 here and 1 here, so either way, there's just 1. To find this, then we're going to do 3 squared, which is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 5 is 45. And 45 times 2 is 90. So my least common multiple is 90. A word problem that you would find with least common multiple is when you're trying to balance the 2 out. You want to get them evened out. And that's why a least common multiple would be our common denominator. It would also be a word problem such as every 45 days I clean the blinds, and every 90 days I clean the windows. And that's not true, but anyway. So when would they happen at the same time? Well, I would be cleaning the blinds and the windows at the same day on my 90th day. So it's something where you're balancing them out is where you're doing least common multiple. Okay. There are study guides loaded in the Google Classroom that you can use to try out some of these a little bit more. Okay, the practice test we are working